Hello, Internet. This is Whispering Whim bringing you the final grocery haul of 2022. Can you believe the year is over already? I am still waiting to get 2020 back. But time moves forward, and so shall we. First up, we have some crispy jalapeno pieces. These are for putting in our salads. And sometimes I'll top my guys' tacos with them as well to give a little bit of extra kick to it. And then we have some egg noodles. And this package is always very, very crinkly. And basically, it is soup season. I am excited for soup season. I'll be making a whole bunch of soups all winter long because they're full of vegetables and they're lower calorie. And I'm very excited for soup season. Speaking of soup, next up we have some red pepper and tomato soup. There's actually two of these. And it's becoming sort of a lunch favorite of mine to make some of this up. And it's a really good tomato soup. And then I wilt in a little bit of spinach so that I get some extra fiber and whatnot. And it has been a pretty satisfying meal for me. So I am happy with the tomato red pepper soup here. Following that, I've got some ketchup, some plain old Simply ketchup. I love how now things have to advertise that there's no artificial sweeteners in them when ketchup really never needed to have an artificial sweetener in it. But that's a rant for another day, I suspect. We have some Spanish Queen olives with the pimiento. Is that how you say it? Pimiento? Yeah, pimiento in it. This is a good little snack. And occasionally my guy likes to have a martini. And he loves his martini extra dirty. Like, we're talking 2/3 olive juice to like 1/3 alcohol. And it's a bit intense, so it's a good thing I like to eat the olives. Then we have some shampoo. I broke down and just got some shampoo at the store. I usually buy, or I've been trying to buy, like the bar shampoos and conditioners. And I have a small artisan? Yeah, a small business that I typically buy those from, but my budget's been really tight. And when you add in like shipping costs and everything like that, I couldn't really afford to buy a shampoo bar, or the one I wanted anyways, for a little while. And I've been down to like just a little kernel, when your soap gets really low and you're just barely like, can I rub that in? That's where I was at with shampoo. So I just bought one in a bottle, even though the bottle is hard to recycle and blah, blah, blah. I'll do better next year. There's a 2023 resolution for me. Following that, we have some more soy sauce. I've still been going really extra on the whole soy sauce and avocado deal. Although I think I'm at the taper end. I found that when I get really into a food, like I eat it and then I eat a lot and I plateau for a little bit and then it goes right back down, right? So we're probably close to the end of that one, I suspect, but not done with avocado soy sauce just yet. Next up is a can of white beans. And I suspect we'll run across another can as we go along, but just one can for now. This is good for my white bean chili, of course, but also one of the soups I'll be making this month is a minestrone soup. And I add some beans in there to give it protein and an extra bit of fiber. So one of those beans are white beans. Following that, we have a little jar of traditional pizza sauce. I'll be using this to make my cauliflower pizza casserole thing, which I'm glad my guy likes, because I make like a noodle dish, but I swap out half of the noodles for cauliflower. So you still get noodles, but it's a lot more vegetable. And that's how I try to live my life. I know my body weight doesn't say so, but I eat a lot of vegetables. And the other thing I have on me right now is a bottle of teriyaki sauce. This is the garlic and green onion flavor. Definitely the superior version of teriyaki sauce, because it's still teriyaki. It's a little sweet, but it's less sweet than a straight teriyaki. And I'm really not a big sugar fan, so that's a win-win-win for me. So that finishes out our first bag here, but we actually have quite a bit, I think, to go through, so we're not going to mourn that too much. We've got a whole bag right here that's just full of cans. I suspect our other white bean is somewhere in here. But first up was a garbanzo bean, some petite diced tomatoes, kidney beans, another can of tomatoes, and then there should be 3 cans of Swanson's beef broth, and it has to be the Swanson brand. My family on my dad's side, my adoptive dad's side, they have a dish called brown rice. It's very typical of our holiday gatherings. And contrary to the name, our brown rice dish is not made with brown rice. It's made with white rice, but you put in a bunch of beef broth and simmer it for so long that the rice turns brown. It's essentially like a poor man's risotto. You have butter and green onions and the broth, and it simmers for a long time, and it is tasty. It is not good for you at all. It's basically just a bunch of fat and starch, but I love it. And last Christmas, I finally got the recipe from my mom and made it for my new family, because I usually spend Christmas with my guy's family. And I made a successful batch and everybody liked it, and I'm like, yes, I'm doing that again for Christmas this year. Because one of the things, if you get married and you start going to like your spouse's family's events, is every once in a while you just start to miss the way your family did things. Even though like overall I like spending time with his family, maybe just a little bit better than mine, but I miss things like brown rice or the pickle tradition is another thing my grandpa did, and I don't think I would qualify for it because that was like a kid's game anymore, but it's interesting when 2 different cultures almost, right? Like not a whole culture, but 2 different families combined. So I'm glad that I got to bring the brown rice, and maybe I'm going to start introducing more and more of my family stuff, even though I can't really introduce my family. That's a whole nother kettle of fish. We won't get into that. But finishing out our can bag, which really was a wine bag, but it's fantastic for cans, is the other can of white beans. Told you it was there somewhere. Let's go ahead and delve into this bag next. Well, it's going to lift it up, but it feels kind of heavy. So let's see what's in here. Oh, yes. Our overpriced seasoning packets that I say every month I'm going to quit them, and then I don't, because they just make life easier, and I love them. We have zesty herb, black garlic parmesan, garlic herb and wine, and then 2 of the tomato, garlic, and basil mixes. So we eat a lot of chicken around here, and You know, this helps make the chicken seem a little different night to night. So that's good. Next up, we have some Welch's fruit snacks. I really like Gushers. And these are kind of... Oh, I didn't get the ones that are Gusher-like, did I? No, these are just regular fruit snacks. Oh, well. I thought I was getting the ones that were like Gushers. But long story short, actual Gushers are more expensive than the like off-brand. Welch's isn't really an off-brand, but the non-Gusher brand. So I went and grabbed these, but apparently I grabbed the wrong one. He has plain fruit snacks, which I guess is fine. It'll work. He had told me earlier in the month or earlier in November, because, you know, I had gotten the marshmallow graham cracker chocolate mix thing as a dessert. And I was giving him a pretty sizable handful of that in his lunches. And after we had gone through like most of the bag, he's like, you know, that's just too much sugar for lunchtime. And I'm like, oh, really? You could have told me a little sooner. But basically, you know, I think all my attempts at being diet friendly are starting to rub off on him because he wants less sugar in his lunches. So, you know, something smaller like a fruit snack still gives that little bit of sweet edge without being like a whole, you know, pastry or, you know, large handful of marshmallows. Next up we have, oh, this is what was making that bag so heavy. We have a big old thing of rice. I have been using a lot of rice lately. I use it for, you know, stir fry night and curry night. And this is also the key ingredient to the brown rice that's not brown that I'll be making later on in the month. So I went ahead and just got a big hefty bag. How big are you? 5 pounds. I got 5 pounds of rice. It's a lot for 2 people. And then finishing out this black bag, I believe, yeah, that's the last thing, is we have one more of the little Go-Go Squeeze applesauce packets. I like these for my shows, but I just like them. And I feel guilty that I like them because there's a lot of plastic involved in this. And I almost got like a big old jar of applesauce, but it usually goes to waste if I get a big jar. So I'm cheating, and I'm getting the slightly plastic heavy version of the applesauce. Such a naughty girl, right? We have yet another black bag. It's caught on my banana hook. There we go. And this one's light enough I can just grab it, so that's good. No more turning backwards for this particular part. We have some bread. Some thin sliced rustic white bread. I had asked for breakfast suggestions, and I think the two I'm going to run with to start is I'm going to do some more toast in the morning, some peanut butter toast, some avocado toast, and thin sliced just means I'm eating less bread per toast. Because bread is just empty carbs, really. Especially American bread, where it has like added sugar to it. So yeah, I'm going to do some toast, and then I'm going to try out some of the non-dairy yogurts. I did not find a lot of them at Winco. Winco's the main store I usually buy at, and it's a employee-owned giant, very, you know, it's kind of like a low-income grocery store. And the produce there is great. The meat is usually decent. More on that later. But they don't have a lot of frou-frou stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty sure if I go to my closest high-end grocery store, I could have found like 20 different non-dairy yogurts. But Winco only had 2. And I'll show you them when I get the cooler bag. But I'll have to kind of explore some different shops if I end up liking that idea. In the meantime, we have some granola snacks, some little mini granola bites that are strawberry flavored. I might try a pack, but this is mostly for my guys' lunches. Partly because anything that's like chewy, crunchy is just hard with the braces on, so can't eat a lot of that kind of stuff. Also in here we have lots and lots of treats actually for my guys' lunches. As I said, he wants to eat less sugar. He doesn't want me to cut out dessert entirely, but definitely less. So I figure it might be nice to just stick a little chocolate in there, you know? Tiny fun-sized chocolate to end the meal on. And this mix has some Twix, Snickers, Three Musketeers, Milky Way, and the Milky Way Midnight, which is my favorite. Love the Milky Way Midnight. So that should add a little interest and whatnot to his lunches. I also got him his mint Oreos that he likes better than the flavor I like. And, you know, again, I could just put 2 in his lunch instead of the normal 3, and that automatically cuts out a third of the sugar right there. And I do know he loves Oreos because on the weekends he'll stay up later than me. And as soon as I go to bed, I hear the rustling. He goes and finds himself a little snack to watch or to have while he watches TV, because I don't actually watch a lot of TV myself. I find that there's just always something else to do. You know, I'll play video games or read a book. It's not like I don't do leisure activities, but I don't know. I get impatient with television, so it's not my jam. So he watches it on the weekends after I go to bed with a snack. And often he will eat the Oreos as his TV snack. And this flaky little guy is a nice little bulb of garlic. We go through a lot of garlic in this household. But that's all right. Garlic's supposed to be good for you, right? It's like anti-inflammatory and stuff. And then, oh, I messed up again. I keep forgetting. So, if you get the individual sized Scooby snacks at Winco, they're the cinnamon flavor. But for some reason, when you get the box of them, they're the honey flavor. And he'll eat the honey flavor, you know, again, for my guy. He'll eat the honey flavor, but he prefers the cinnamon flavor. And I keep forgetting that the box is not cinnamon. And I always grab the box, or I have been grabbing the box lately anyways, because it's like a whole $2-3 cheaper and you get more product than getting the individual packs, you know, in addition to the whole less plastic, less waste kind of mentality, right? But I might have to make an exception for the Scooby snacks so that he can have the flavor he likes. And we have one more dry bag. And poking at the top, I'm sure you can see right here, is a pineapple. Come on out, Mr. Pineapple. There we are. And this is a very ripe pineapple. It might almost be overripe. They were only charging $1 for the whole pineapple, so they were trying to get rid of them quickly. And basically you can tell a pineapple is super ripe. Usually so it gets yellower, right? And usually, like if I'm doing this and I have time, I would only let it get yellow on the bottom. For some reason, they get yellow on the bottom before the top. But all of the ones at the shop kind of looked like this. And I was like, I'm going to take that risk for $1. Why not? And then we have some sourdough bread. When I make soup, my guy needs a little something extra with soup. He doesn't consider soup a meal by itself. I normally do grilled cheese sandwiches. And when I went to the cheese aisle, for some reason, they were out of Colby Jack, which is my preferred cheese for grilled cheese sandwiches. So I decided to grab pepper jack, and instead of normal bread, I got sourdough. So we're going to do some sourdough melts, basically, with pepper jack cheese. I think that'll be really good, especially with the minestrone, which is the first soup I'll be making with this particular set of ingredients. Next up, we have bananas. Nice big. They're giant bananas. Like, they're almost the size of my forearm. But they're a good color. And I like bananas. So that's going to go right on the banana hook. Like so. And then I will eat those for breakfast. Next up, some Triscuits Thin Crisps. This is the zesty jalapeno flavor with those chickpeas that I have somewhere. Garbanzo beans / chickpeas, depending on your region. I will be making hummus. It's been at least a month or two since I've made hummus, so it's about time to circle back to that. Next up, we have some fruit cups, and these are the ones that have the popping boba in them. They're entertaining for like half a second, and then you realize everything just tastes like sweetened fruit juice. So I don't get them very often, but you know, once in a while, just to add that pizzazz, that variety, right? Because you know, variety is the spice of life, right? And then next up, we have bow tie pasta. So, you may remember last month, I think it was last month, I had made a comment about how bow tie pasta was more expensive. And I thought that was weird. So I've been looking, you know, because I do mini trips in between this, you know, the video trip, which is big. And yes, in my area, across different stores, bow tie pasta is more expensive. I mean, it's not break your bank expensive, but a bag this size of, say, penne pasta would be about $1, maybe $1.30, depending on the store. And this is like anywhere from $1.50 to $2, depending on the store. But you know, I used the penne that I got last month and I was unsatisfied. I just like my bow tie pasta. Something about the shape, I don't know whether it's just cutesier or cuter. Or if like it absorbs the sauces that I make better. Because you know, that's one of the reasons why there are so many pasta shapes, is that some of them just serve different purposes, right? But I just decided to spend the extra 50 cents to get the one I wanted. So there. Yeah. Fight me on it. Next up, we have some of those Snyder's pretzel pieces. These are the jalapeno flavored ones. And these are delicious. Like, I get so sad that I can't help him eat these. They're made with sourdough pretzel instead of like a regular, I don't know, plain pretzel. I don't know what you'd call the base pretzel flavor other than pretzel. But they're made with sourdough, which I like, as evident by the fact that I bought sourdough for grilled cheese sandwiches. And like the jalapeno seasoning, it's not super, super spicy, but it's just enough that you want to keep like shoveling it in your mouth. But they are really dense. So great if you like crunchy things. Bad if you have a bunch of braces on. I will have the braces until about August of next year. So we're getting towards the end, but it's been a long haul. All right. And then last but not least, for our dry goods, I got some tomato paste. This stuff is just fantastic for all sorts of uses. It's not watery, so I add a little bit of it to my meatloaf, actually. And then it's great for adding into my minestrone to kind of give it that extra bit of, you know, savory umami flavor. So that's what I use that for. And I'm not even going to bother to clean this up. I'm just going to grab that cooler bag and we're going to dive right into it because, let's see here, 12:39. Yeah, I'm ready for lunch. All right, we are down to our last bag, the cooler bag, but it is a beast of a bag. There's a lot in there, so I think we'll do just fine time-wise for a nice relaxing journey. But anyways, let's find out what our first item is in the cooler bag, and it is snow peas. These are fantastic. I usually blanch them. I cut off the ends, which are a little tough. I blanch them for about 5 minutes, cool them down, and then I stir fry them with garlic and butter. And if I could eat those like every week, I probably would. But as a vegetable choice, they're not as cost effective as some of the other options. So I try to refrain from adding them to too many meals. But you know, sometimes I make my snow peas. Okay. We have Parmesan cheese, which is just all around useful for everything. Oh my goodness, I love it in salads. Put it on the minestrone soup. I had run out of regular cheese. I had done a taco night last week? No, earlier this week. I ran out of regular cheese and I just threw Parmesan on there. And apparently my guy liked it just fine. So, Parmesan cheese for the win. Next up, we have some clover and alfalfa sprouts. Those are definitely a really great snack for me. You know, if I get in the mood for something kind of crunchy, that's what I eat. They're not like genuinely crunchy. They don't hurt my braces, but because they're so crisp, they kind of give that effect a little bit. Some raspberries. Yum, I love raspberries. They're my favorite berry, I think. Out of like blueberry and strawberry and all of those. We have some parsley. It's good for the minestrone soup. It's great for meatloaf. Fresh parsley for the win, definitely. Big old bag of Granny Smith apples that's tearing apart at the seams. I love the concept of a reusable produce bag, but I will definitely buy a different brand next time because pretty much all of my bags are already dying on me, and it's no good. Yeah. All right. We have a bag of grapefruit. This is another thing I'm going to add to my breakfasts again. You know, grapefruit is a fantastic diet food in that you feel like you're getting a lot of volume, but really they're pretty high in fiber, and for a fruit, they're relatively low in sugar. So I'm kind of excited. Last month I bought just one tiny, it wasn't tiny, just one grapefruit because they're like about $1.50 now at my local supermarket. But I got that whole bag for $3. So kind of skews it into the right budget point for me. So I'll have at least 4 of them this month. Have some celery. Boy, I'm really making a mess here. I'm going fast. Got some kielbasa. So this was supposed to be a backup food item. I love it because, you know, in this kind of packaging, they last for a very long time. Even if I didn't freeze it, it would still be good in the refrigerator until March 11th, 23rd. So essentially, you know, 3 months from now, I could still eat this. So it's a great backup meat. However, I'm going to have to cook it tonight. And that is because I went to Winco and I got my chicken. And how the grocery hauls usually work is I usually go shopping one day and then I video the next day. So things like separating chicken, I do already. You guys don't get to see as much of the meats and things like that because, you know, it just needs to get in the freezer and be done. But So I had gotten the chicken. I'd gotten a big pack of chicken and then a little pack of chicken. And normally I wouldn't get a little pack of chicken because it's not as cost effective, but something in my head was like, I think I need this today. I get home and I start separating out the chicken, and the little packet is fine. It's not a lot of chicken, but, it's normal chicken. And then I open up the big packet and it smelled bad, really bad. And this is a huge, I don't even know, it must have been like a 10-pound packet of chicken. It was bulk, big, huge packet of chicken. And I'm like, I do have very sensitive, like, I can smell milk that's starting to go bad, like it's still drinkable, but I can tell that it's going to be not drinkable within a day or two. I can smell it. And I'm like, maybe I'm being overly sensitive about the chicken. Maybe. Fingers crossed, because this is so much chicken, and I've already, like, I'm not going to take raw chicken back to Winco. I'm just not going to do that. So I still packaged it up. I put some in the freezer and I left one in the fridge. And when my guy came home, I'm like, you need to do me a favor and do a sniff test. Because he does not have sensitive nose. In fact, he is a little nose blind. He doesn't smell many things. So he's like, all right. And I open up a packet of, from the small chicken, or the small packet of chicken. And I'm like, okay, smell this. What do you smell? And he goes, I smell nothing, which is kind of what I expected out of him. And I'm like, okay, that's great. Now tell me if you smell anything here. And I open up the packet of the chicken that I think is questionable. And he goes, whoa. And I'm like, okay, if I can get that kind of reaction out of you, then I'm not overreacting. I have a very sensitive tummy, so I throw out a lot of food that I think some people could eat, but I just can't. But I felt validated that he could smell that this was off. The unfortunate thing is I had to throw out all of that chicken. So we used the small packet last night, and I'll use this tonight, and then I'll have to go get more chicken tomorrow. 'Tis the life, I guess. Moving along, though, let's talk about something other than nasty old chicken here. We've got some zucchini and one little yellow squash that somehow ended up in the zucchini bag. I'm not quite sure why that happened. That must have been the cashier who did that. It wasn't me. They're different prices, so I wonder. Probably only a few cents difference, but I'm like, did I get overcharged on my one yellow squash? We have some butter. Butter's always a good classic, right? Got some Mexican 4-cheese, so if we do tacos again, he won't have to suffer through, well, he didn't suffer, but we won't have to use the more expensive Parmesan cheese on his tacos. I've got a big old head of cauliflower. That's for the pizza flavored cauliflower casserole thing that I make. And I am really running out of space here to shove things. Okay. We're almost there. I got a packet of the bacon ends and pieces. As much as I like to use the easy stuff, this is so much cheaper. And we do go through so much bacon that I am going to do the annoying bacon version again. We have mozzarella cheese. Here's one of the dairy-free yogurts, and this one is soy base, I believe. Yes. So I'm hoping I like the soy better than, this one is almond milk, just because soy is more sustainably produced. So I'm hoping I like this better, but knowing me, I'm going to like this one better. What I could not find, and I know exists, is that there are some yogurts made with coconut milk. So when I'm at the like frou-frou store that's near me, I'm gonna have to hunt that down. But I just got one of each to start with because I don't know how I'll feel about dairy-free yogurt. But we have two flavors. We have dark chocolate coconut and peach mango. So they do sound pretty tasty, right? And then we have, here's that pepper jack cheese that I'm gonna make sourdough sandwiches with, and pepperoni for, you guessed it, the pepperoni or the pizza flavored casserole. And that's almost it. We have one little guy hiding in there, and that is some nice chopped basil. I love this little basil in a tube idea. I've never tried this brand, so fingers crossed it's good. But like, you can keep this in the fridge for like a whole month and just add it every time you want basil flavor. And it is, you know, pretty decent flavor wise. You know, using actual fresh basil leaves would give you a bit more basil per pound, I guess. Basil flavor per pound. But, you know, the actual leaves themselves wilt, I don't know, within, say, a week and a half, 2 weeks in my fridge. So this stuff is good. And with that, that's the last item I'm going to show on camera today. In the freezer is some vegetables and what else? Oh, some bread. You know, some freezer bread for my guy. And I had to take them out of the bag to fit them in there, and it's just not worth dragging out. I'm ready for lunch. So we're going to go ahead and do our shout outs, though, to a couple of our lovely commenters that keep me going. So thank you, Erica Nib, Scottish Whispers, Life on Plants, Traby Maybe, and Hannah Salvador, one of many people who comment. I have my regulars and I have some new faces, and we're getting close to 500 subs. I feel obligated to do something for that, but I don't know if I'll find the time. We'll see. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had time to relax and calm down, and maybe you're ready for bed. Thank you. And I will see you next time. Nighty night.